And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're going to take a look at a game that I've already looked at once before. I did a preview of this game quite some time back, before their Kickstarter or during their Kickstarter, but now we're going to take a look at the final components of Rise by Crash Games, as well as the Ballistic expansion to Rise, which they included in the Kickstarter for supporters. So real quick, why don't we take a look at this two-player abstract game, their first title. We will take a look at how it plays and what you get, and then we'll come back here and we'll get my final opinions on it. So, you may have seen me do Rise before. That's because I reviewed this as a prototype, but now we're taking a look at the final quality components of Rise. So now we have these land tiles. They are basically just cardboard tiles on the back. They're printed with people's names who supported the game and the name of the game itself. They're nice quality. We also have wooden discs, and the wooden discs have stickers on them. That's because I've chosen to sticker mine. So I stickered mine with pirates. Andrea stickered hers with ninjas, so now we can have pirates versus ninjas, but there are several different other ones. It came with aliens, and we have wizards and knights and zombies, so we could have had all types of different things, and we could even sticker the other side. You have some blocks to represent your towers, and then we have expansion pieces that we'll cover in a moment. But basically, the idea of this game is that you're going to be placing pieces on this board in order to try and build your 3 towers before your opponent, or to eliminate your opponent from the board. So on your turn, you have multiple choices of what to do. But basically, your options are place a new land tile, and you can place a new land tile so that it's adjacent to any land tile on the board. So like this, or you could place one out here, however you wanted to place it. Another option, if I were the other player, would be to place a worker on the board, and the worker always has to go adjacent to where you are. Now on your turn, you're going to get 2 actions. So maybe the red player only gets 1 on their first turn, but maybe on the second turn, the blue player wants to place a worker, and they want to try their third option, which is to move a worker. And they can move any worker 1 space, as long as nothing interferes with it. If the blue worker happened to be next to a red worker, let's say the red worker had built out like this, and the board somehow ended up in this position where there was a bunch of red workers and some tiles out like this, the blue worker could jump over the red worker, and that would eliminate the red worker from the board. That's another option. A third option is if you have a bunch of pieces on the board, you can actually remove 2 of them to remove any one of your opponent's pieces off of the board, like this. In addition, if you wanted to, let's say blue had some extra pieces, you can actually remove 2 of your own pieces to place 1 worker anywhere on the board. So for example, if you have workers where you don't need them and you'd like to get out to a new area, maybe they want to go all the way over here, they could remove their 2 to get to the other side of the board. Now, the objective of this game, as I said, is to build your towers, and you're going to do so by getting a formation built on the board where you essentially have a ring of hexes covered. So you're trying to surround 1 hex with your workers. So you're going to need 6 workers surrounding 1 hex, something like this. And the turn on which you do this, you are going to put out the bottom tier of one of your towers. After this, on the next turn, if this formation is still built, you would put out the next tier. And on the third turn that this formation is built, you would put out the top tier. And this would be a completed area. Now, you can actually have these destroyed if your opponent manages to surround it. So if red was all the way around this, each turn a tier would come off. But your objective here is to either build all 3 of your towers by making this formation, or to eliminate your opponent from the board. So right now, blue, if they wanted to start pulling pieces off, could eliminate this red piece. And unless red starts putting more pieces on the board, they're going to be in trouble, because next turn, blue can pull another 2 off and get rid of this other red, and they would win. Otherwise, you just win when you get all 3 of your towers built. Now, they've also included an expansion in this. It's called the Ballistic expansion, and it adds a little bit of a different dynamic to the game. Some very powerful pieces that are going to change how the game plays. And that is these 2 black pieces here, a gold piece and a die. The black pieces are called anchor pieces, and what they do is for 2 of your workers, so if you sacrifice 2 workers, you can put this black piece anywhere on the board. You'd probably want to play it in your opponent's area, so maybe they're trying to build this area here. They have all of these put out, and you put it right here. Well, now they cannot complete their circle because this piece can only be removed by a different special piece, and we'll get to that momentarily. This second piece here is called a flash piece. Each player has 1 of these while they have 2 anchors. And this flash piece, when you place it on the board, if it were to go off, which it does immediately, it would remove all of the pieces surrounding it. And this is a very powerful piece. It wouldn't remove the anchor, but it would remove these 3 ninjas. And you'd see if that were to happen, blue would immediately win the game. So you have to be very careful and not let your opponent place this flash piece out by paying 2 of their workers. The last piece you have is actually called the vortex piece, and it's kind of a timer. But it doesn't just eliminate your opponent's pieces, it eliminates all of the pieces, including your pieces, and the flash would eliminate your pieces as well, but it also eliminates the landscape tiles that it is on. So if I were to play this here, it has 4 turns until it goes off, and it's going to tick down each turn until it gets to 1. And at that point, it's going to go off and it's going to destroy everything surrounding it, including the tile it's on. So it would destroy all of these tiles and all of those pieces, which would still eliminate red from the game, but if red were to have a piece, they would just be severely damaged by this. Note, that would also destroy tower pieces that are on it, so you have to be very careful and not let your opponent get this. Now, in order to get rid of that, you can pay 5 of your workers in order to get rid of that vortex. So it's a huge, huge disadvantage to try and get rid of that. It costs 2 workers to put out, 5 workers to disarm. So if you don't want to lose all those pieces, you got to disarm it fast and hopefully stay in the game. And there you have it. That is Rise from Crash Games. A good little abstract game, one that I enjoy, and I think I said I enjoyed it in my first review. I didn't look back, but I still enjoy it, even if I didn't enjoy it then, or I did enjoy it then. My opinion has or hasn't changed. Anyhow, I do enjoy Rise. It's a nice little abstract, very compact, very easy to take with you and play in all kinds of different areas, very strategic. The expansion, while offering some variability, I think I actually prefer the game without it. I am not smart enough, apparently, to not position my pieces in a circle as to get them eliminated all at once. So I always end up losing the game because I simply just have my pieces placed improperly and I get annihilated in 1 turn. My own fault, I know, but it's just too much for me. However, if you like abstracts and you like that extra level of making sure that you haven't positioned your pieces so you can be wiped out in one fell swoop, I think that Ballistic Expansion definitely has a place for gamers out there. The stickers and the components are of great quality, so if you've been hesitant on checking out this Kickstarter title, I can say with some confidence that I enjoy it, and I think other players who share my tastes will enjoy it as well.
Thanks for watching our review today. For more information about board games, as well as the #1 board game audio podcast, check out Dicetower.com for reviews, interviews, and more. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.